bunch, we shall go up to the fields. Some fields here, look, bunt. Nice little bit of woodland here. The bunty to do his thing. And then we're going to have a catch up with you all in a minute after he's had his walk. Buster loves his walks. I have to do another YouTube video next week. He's 15. The big 15 for the little bunt. Just like to mention that it was Remembrance Sunday yesterday. So I took Buster out for a walk and we read all the names out at our local war memorial in Hampton, Evesham. So before I get started on any metal detecting politics, I'd just like to remember all our brave troops, past and present, the fallen, and all of them, all the ones who made it back. All our brave troops, both men and women, past and present, we shall remember you. Just leave Buster in the car a minute while he explains something about the current situation in England regarding metal detecting. So I'm just up on the hill at the back of my flat here, overlooking Evesham. That's just the suburbs of Evesham there. Evesham itself is just over the brow in the Vale of Evesham. Just down there over the brow is a public park, and the government are saying that we're allowed to do public spaces, i.e. parks and beaches. However, the local authorities, the council, won't let me do that park. So I can't do that anyway, even though you've got a much higher chance of catching COVID on a public beach or a public park. They've deemed all this illegal and they've banished us to the parks, the suburbs and the beaches. How am I going to get COVID in that field? I have no idea. Why have they banned detecting on private land but allowed public land to be detected? It doesn't make sense. It's not COVID secure. Private land is COVID secure, about as much as it ever could be. So we are trying to work on this with the National Council of Metal Detecting and the Association of Detectorists, both in talks with the Departments of Culture, Moaning and Sport and the pass system to try and get these private fields where most of us do our detecting open back up, and I'd quite happily see them ban the public detecting because that doesn't make sense. So I put it out on my Facebook yesterday, whether anybody would like to just see a little YouTube video of me with my thoughts and my banter rather than detecting, and the majority said, yeah, go for it, Steve, it's your channel. A lot of it is just about keeping active, keeping my channel active, having things to do in lockdown. You know, a lot of this not going detecting lark, it's not because we're absolutely nuts, crazy on detecting. It keeps people sane. You know, this year I've lost my wife. My stepdaughter who lives with me in the flat, she lost her father first. Then she gave birth to a new baby. Rachel's seen the baby 3 times. Then we lost Rachel. Emily, my stepdaughter, also lost her nan a few weeks ago, about a month ago now. She's lost her mother, father and nan. And there's a lot of other struggles in the mix for our little family at the minute. So yeah, I do like to go metal detecting. Metal detecting keeps your fitness levels up in these uncertain times when we need to be fit more than ever. It keeps the old noggin settled, it recharges it, takes away all that stress. So metal detecting is massive. So people are like, well, yeah, tell us a few stories, Steve. Tell us a story or two on your video. All right, well, bearing in mind it was Remembrance Sunday yesterday. On the 11th of November every year, I always remember a Belgian metal detectorist and YouTuber who I was very good friends with on Facebook, and I'm sure we would have met up by now on some of the big European rallies. My good Belgian detectorist buddy Leven Gevaert, Bell Guy Detecting on YouTube. He passed away aged 33 5 years ago on the 11th of November. So we're always thinking about you, Leven, all the ones who knew you. We all loved you. And if any of my viewers will just go over to Bell Guy Detecting on YouTube and watch even one of his videos, that'll mean that he's being remembered by more people. I also mentioned Leven because he is critical in a strange coincidence that I had with my first gold find. I've been metal detecting 20 years. I'd never found gold. I'd always done it the hard way and just done parks back in the day when I was a kid. I didn't even know you could go on farms. Didn't have a clue. I was a kid growing up in the city in Birkenhead, just by Liverpool, and I didn't know any rules. There was no internet. So it took me 20 years to find my first gold, and it was out in Lincolnshire on a big ploughed field. It was a Charles I gold crown. So I went on this ploughed field the one day, and this is where Leven comes in with his coincidence. We'd only lost Leven about 2 weeks at that time. He'd been left us, and I went out on this ploughed field, and all I found that first day of any note was 7 Belgian military buttons on an English ploughed field. Now I automatically thought of Leven on each and every one of those buttons that I found. But here's where the coincidence really puts a good twist on it. My little Belgian mate looking out for me. The next day I went out on the same plough field and I found my first gold. Not only was it gold, it was, like I said, Charles I gold crown. Here's a picture of it. Another story of coincidence and loss in metal detecting. Terry Shaw's, John Hilton Smith, my Australian friend's buddy over in Australia. The pair of them, John and Terry, came for my wedding, and my wedding was on September the 8th, 2018. We had a lovely wedding in Pershore Abbey. Terry was a big star attraction. He was dressed up like Crocodile Dundee for his whole tour of metal detecting and my wedding. Everybody loved him here in England. He went home. He had a lot of domestic issues, Terry, bless him. And unfortunately he couldn't handle it, and this gets back to mental health. Poor Terry over in Australia, he ended up taking his life, and Skippy, John Hilton Smith, messaged me at midnight on a Saturday evening. Obviously I was gutted, but I was going detecting the next morning with Jordan Button down in Salisbury, so I drove 2 hours from Evesham to Salisbury. I got out my car at 8 or 9 o'clock on the Sunday morning, and my first signal, so close that I could touch the car, was a lovely 17th century trader's token, and I hardly ever find any of them, and I hardly ever find any in good condition. This one had Terry's initials on it. My first signal, so close to the car that I could touch it. Very first signal after receiving the news of the death of Terry. It had the initials TS on. It was turned out to be a Thomas Shergold. Thomas Shergold token from the 1600s. Had his initials on, TS. Had a beautiful patina, and I was blown away, absolutely blown. First signal, you touch the car and it's got your lost friend's initials on. Right, so then I had another signal. It was a 9mm bullet casing from a handgun. Put it in my pouch with an awful feeling. I thought, I wonder if Terry shot himself. About a week later I found out that he did choose that way to end his life. So yeah, mental health is important, and nobody can explain away that coincidence. Leaving and Terry both dropping down a major sign to say that they could still see what's going on. So there's two stories of coincidence. Massive shout out to Peter Pesty from Cambridge, nice digger. I've not actually met him yet. He just sent me a bottle to keep the cold and the COVID at bay. Homemade Hungarian cherry liqueur. Bless him. He's only gone and put a bespoke label on it with a picture of me, and it says Stephen's body warmer, 50% proof. Happy days, mate. Happy days.
Couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it when I opened it. That is hardcore stuff, that. I'll take a little sip just for my video now, look, but you're supposed to drink it chilled.
Here's the Peter and the Hungarians and all the other Eastern people who drink proper stuff. That'll do me for a month. I'm cured. Andrew Harrison from New Zealand, he got in touch with me on Facebook a few months ago, and he said he just survived, well, at the time he was still going through a major cancer scare. He said he loved all my videos, and he kept his chin up in hospital, and he said, if I go out today and make a video, can I include some of me and Buster howling, because his lovely big doggy joins in. Well, Buster's just seen a car go past, so we'll get on the howling for Andrew and all our lovely doggy fans. I love you, Buster. I love you. I love you. Oh! Shout out to me! Shout out to me! This doggy! This doggy was Rachel's doggy. He was 11 years old by the time I met him. The best gift that anybody's ever given me. He keeps me sane. He's actually from Spain. Rachel, she worked over there on a Spanish newspaper, English language newspaper, and the owners of the newspaper didn't look after their doggies, so she got Buster off them as a young pup from Spain. Nobody quite knows what breed he is. He likes cake and he's from Spain, and they call him a Spanish cake hound.